So we went to Costa Rica and we were on this amazing canoe tour in Tortuguero National Park. We were surrounded, literally surrounded by animals, and they were so close. They were so close that in a couple of occasions I thought that we would almost hit a camera in the eye. And normally this is where I start sharing on the screen the favorite pictures that I took during that trip. But I can't, because I didn't take any. I was on the other side of the world in a natural reserve, and the sole purpose of that trip was to take pictures of animals and wildlife, and I didn't take the camera with me. If you Google Costa Rica, your results will be a series of happy people vlogging about their holidays or ziplining, surfing, rafting, hiking in the jungle. And I am not an adrenaline junkie, so I had no interest whatsoever for any of those activities. Call me crazy, but getting hooked to a rope and being tossed down to the jungle is really not my cup of tea. But those pictures of this lush green jungle, the colorful birds and insects, that caught my attention. Costa Rica was part of a bigger trip, so I didn't really have a say in the destination. But it's famous for the wildlife and biodiversity, so I thought, sure, let's go. And I did my homework before leaving. I did research on what to take pictures of and where, and I prepared a list of what I wanted to see. I prepared the itineraries accordingly, and I decided the lenses that I would need as a consequence. I did have great plans and built up expectations, of course. After all, Costa Rica is on the other side of the world compared to Luxembourg, which is where I live, and it was once in a lifetime opportunity. Then my mood went south and the trip didn't go according to plans whatsoever. I was not in the jungle, I was in my dark place. I literally refused to take pictures. Most of the times that we were out exploring or hiking or on a tour, I was coming up with excuses, so many excuses, not to take pictures or not even to take the camera with me. I think the camera was more often in the hotel room than in my backpack. I had all sorts of negative thoughts forming in my head. I was not good enough, or the gear wasn't good enough, or it had been months since the last time I took pictures, so why bother at all? I was feeling demotivated and inadequate. I think it was close to what can be defined imposter syndrome. I could go out, take pictures, make videos about it, post the pictures on the website, but there was this little voice at the back of my head that kept repeating that I was not good enough, and that made me feel like a fraud. I was, of course, experiencing a mood swing, and this one was loaded with anxiety and negative thoughts. And this is one of the scariest things of bipolar disorder, or I believe any mental health condition in general. It kicks in at any time, and there is really no way to plan for it, and it messes up with your plans, whichever plans you have. And I believe that all the stress revolving around the planning of such a long trip, so far away from home and still dealing with COVID restrictions in place, I think it was definitely a trigger element for me. I could just sell it as a learning opportunity to love every moment and take advantage of the good mood when it's there, but reality is that I missed the chance to do what I love the most because I'm not in control of what happens in my head, and this is as scary as it gets. After this disastrous experience, I came up with a few actions that can be taken to mitigate the situation if it represents itself again in the future. The first one would be committing with someone back home to send 1, 3, 5, whichever number of pictures every day. In fact, when I was in Costa Rica, some of the few pictures that I took were for my mom. She doesn't really get to travel often, and I wanted to show her how it looks away from home. So I think that next time, one of the things that I will be doing before leaving is going to be committing with her to send at least one picture every day. To make it more challenging, you can commit either to a higher number of pictures with the same person, or to make this pact with several people and, no cheating, one different picture per every person. Through this solution, I'm hoping to artificially create a reason to go out and shoot, and by being out and shoot, actually find the motivation to take some shots for myself as well, and not just for the people at home who are waiting for the picture to be sent. A second action I intend to take is to get an insurance for my gear. As ridiculous as it sounds, part of me was anxious because I didn't want to damage the gear. And I know it's absurd, but I was thinking of me on a boat with animals around, and all I could picture in my head was I'm gonna flip, and all of my lenses and the camera will be in the water and the caimans will eat everything. As I said, it's ridiculous and I'm perfectly aware of it, but rationality is not really a thing when I'm anxious. So one aspect that can provide some peace of mind is really to just get an insurance, and if I end up damaging camera body or lenses, then there's going to be the insurance to cover for the loss. Step number 3 is practicing self-compassion. I need to remind myself why I am into photography. I take pictures primarily for myself and for what I feel when I click the shutter. Nobody else needs to ever see the pictures I take, and as a consequence, the sense of inadequacy is completely out of place. This is something I'm in control over, and no judgment needs to ever be connected to the experience. Of course, the hope for the future is that the situation will not happen again, but in case it will, I hope that these steps, this toolkit if you want, will help me manage and keep under control this pile of negativity and nonsense that my brain is so happy at coming up with the worst possible timing. For today's video is all, and I hope you enjoyed it and you found it useful, and I'll see you around next time. Bye bye!